Happy holidays once again, and Tony here with my review of Mozart's Die Zauberflöte with conductor Carsten Januszke, which I saw at the Komische Oper Berlin. This marks the 5th time I saw Barry Kosky's production of Mozart's Die Zauberflöte at the Komische Oper Berlin because I wanted to see, hear, and witness Heidi Elisabeth Meier performed the role of Pamina. But before I get to her, a few words about Diana Schnürpel, who I believe is currently one of the best, if not one of the greatest interpreters of the Queen of the Night. She was still in her absolutely amazing A-game, all thanks to her fabulous technique, fearless showing off of high notes, and total exuberance and great charisma of this particular character. She was in totally full swing as the Queen of the Night, as she's always been, and she continued to sell it as this iconic queen. The future will always look bright for Diana Schnürpel, especially where the dramatic coloratura soprano repertoire is concerned, and I would love to see her in a lot more of those roles, such as Anna Bolena, Elisabetta from Roberto Devereux, Norma from Bellini's Norma, Leonora from Il Trovatore, Elvira from Hernani, Antonia from Le Comte of Man, Marguerite de Valois from Malbert's Les Huguenots, Odabella from Verdi's Attila, Giselda from Verdi's I Lombardi alla prima crociata, Semiramide from Rossini's Semiramide, Madama Cortese from Rossini's Il Viaggio a Reims, and Mathilde from Rossini's Guillaume Tell, among many other great roles for a dramatic coloratura soprano. And when all is said and done, Diana Schnürpel continued to sell it so exceedingly, outstandingly, and absolutely greatly as the Queen of the Night. Now we head to the main highlight of this review, as well as the main focus, seeing and hearing Heidi Elisabeth Meier as Pamina. She too also sang the Queen of the Night, much like her various predecessors, including Maria Stada, Lisa della Casa, Colette Laurent, Vilma Lipp, Christiana Sorel, Colette Bocchi, Lucia Pop, Mariella Devia, Mary Dunleavy, and Diana Damrau, just to name a few singers who have done both the Queen of the Night and Pamina. I've always been fascinated with Heidi Elisabeth Meier as a singer, considering her wide repertoire ranging from Germanic, let alone Mozartian roles, such as the Queen of the Night, Pamina, Constanze, Donna Anna and Zerbinetta, to the more high-flying French roles such as Olympia from Le Comte of Man, and even some Italian roles such as Lucia Ashton from Donizetti's Lucia della Mermur and Gilda from Rigoletto. And lest I forget about Madama Cortese from Rossini's Il Viaggio a Reims. I've been wanting to see and hear her live because I was thoroughly impressed with what she had to offer as a lyric coloratura soprano who could also have a go at some dramatic coloratura soprano roles as well as some lyric soprano roles. And I was totally amazed with how she was able to sing the entire role of Pamina. First of all, I love her creamy tone. It is absolutely gorgeous throughout all the registers, and she had such a full tone of voice that managed to radiate and shine throughout the theater. There was a certain roundness to her voice that I liked, and it also reminded me of Annalisa Rothenberger and Anna Moffo, as well as Lucina Amara and Valerie Masterson. There was that silvery edge to Heidi Elisabeth Meier's voice that I thoroughly enjoyed, and that was also what made her performance as Pamina totally credible. She had heaps of elegance that made her work so well as Pamina, all thanks to that silvery edge that she was able to take advantage of, and she was able to use that lovely creamy tone to spin some exquisite notes from top to bottom and do so with loads of beauty and class and style. There's no doubt that I loved everything that Heidi Elisabeth Meier produced as Pamina, both vocally and theatrically. Every time she opened her mouth to sing, it almost felt like gold and silver were falling out of her mouth. And I mean liquid gold and liquid silver just coming together in an alloy and producing all of these bejeweled tones that made her absolutely brilliant. I also enjoy those occasions in which she was able to coordinate head voice and chest voice rather well. However, if there is something that kind of worked against her favor, it's that her chest tones tended to be a little bit on the white side, and I would have loved for her to take advantage of those chest tones and use a lot more core and keep on developing her core, because that is also where the true drama is, and that will also make her voice far more complete. It also says a lot when genuine lyric coloratura sopranos such as Anna Moffo, Valerie Masterson, and even Ileana Kotrubash had those chest tones and took advantage of them to make Pamina all the more fully realized, both vocally and theatrically. And lest they forget about Lucia Pop and Vilma Lip, who also had good chest tones aside from being well known for their high notes during their times singing the Queen of the Night. And I dare not forget about Maria Stada, who used to sing Queen of the Night, but was also extremely well known for Pamina, who also had really great coordinated chest tones. And if you're talking about full lyric sopranos who sang Pamina, who also had great chest tones and equally great legato, look no further than the likes of Irmgard Seyfried, Lisa de la Casa, Lucina Amara, Trude Eiperle, and Jarmila Novotna, who also sang a great deal of coloratura soprano roles, as these ladies had legitimate chest tones and managed to take great advantage of them. And I'm sure that if Heidi Elisabeth Meier could also keep on developing her core as well as take great advantage of her chest tones, then I would definitely love to hear her in roles such as Violetta Valéry from La Traviata, Melisande from Peleas e Melisande, and True Love from The Rake's Progress, Rosmonda d'Inghilterra, Amina from La Sonnambula, considering that she also sang Lisa in that same opera, Corina from Il Viaggio a Reims, Matilde de Chabran from Matilde de Chabran, Medora from Il Corsaro, Magda di Civri from La Rondine, and Anna from Le Villi. The possibilities are absolutely endless, so long as she continues to develop her chest tones as well as keep on strengthening her core so that her voice can truly embrace the concept of chiaroscuro and ensure that her voice continues to grow with formidability as well as great artistry. Nevertheless, she was thoroughly elegant, and she boasted a silvery golden tone that made her absolutely enthralling to listen to from beginning to end, and there was no doubt that among the ladies, she and Diana Schnürpel stole the show tonight as a gorgeous daughter and mother duo. And here's also hoping that she keeps on growing as an artist as well as constantly go from strength to strength as a gorgeous lyric coloratura soprano with a silvery full lyric soprano edge to her voice. Julia Schaffelroth was a lovely, spunky, pert, and gorgeous papagena. Her silvery, sweet tone, which was that of a light lyric coloratura soprano, was thoroughly pleasing to the ear, and she knew how to play up ingenue glamour to the nines with everything that she's got. Her tone was pure, she had a lovely stage presence, and I could definitely see this wonderful young soprano perform roles such as Blondchen from Die Entführung aus dem Serail, Gilda from Rigoletto, Oscar from from Un ballo in maschera, Tebaldo from Don Carlo, Nanetta from Falstaff, Lauretta from Gianni Schicchi, Lisette from La Rondine, Zerbinetta from Ariadne auf Naxos, both the Ferchermilli and Zdenka from Arabella, and even the fairy godmother from Massenet Cendrillon. The possibilities for this lovely young light lyric / lyric coloratura soprano are absolutely endless. And she has a purely silvery instrument to bolster her entire career with a great future ahead of her. The three ladies were gorgeous, elegant, and exquisite all throughout. Ulrika Helzel's well-supported and absolutely audible mezzo-soprano voice made a great impression as the third lady. Susan Sarabi's gorgeous and creamy lyric mezzo voice made her stand out so well as the second lady, and Mirka Wagner's trademark lyric soprano voice that was shining and shimmering made her steal the show as the first lady. Therefore, Mirka Wagner, Susan Sarabi, and Ulrika Helzel were absolutely grand as all three ladies. And I dare not forget about the adorable and sweet singing from the soloists of the Tölzer Knabenchor as the three boys. They were absolutely lovely as the three boys, and their musicianship and their overall lovely tone made them endearing to listen to. Christoph Speth was a strong, formidable, and focused first-armed man, all thanks to his lyric tenor voice that managed to ride over the orchestra with beauty, virility, and sheer gorgeousness. Philipp Meyerhofer's Papageno was solidly sung with a sturdy tone, sufficient charisma, and his own brand of likability, although I can never ever forget about the more charismatic and virile voices found in Carl Schmidt-Walter, Gerhard Hösch, Hermann Prey, and my personal favorite Papageno of all time, Walter Berry. And if we're looking at Italianate voices, you can't go wrong with Giuseppe Taddei, Sesto Bruscantini, and Vladimiro Ganzarolli. But when all is said and done, my personal favorite Papagenos, complete with virile chesty tones and heaps upon heaps of charisma, are without a doubt Walter Berry and Vladimiro Ganzarolli, because of how amazingly they were able to use their baritone / bass baritone voices to make the role of Papageno truly charismatic and truly brilliant, especially helped with those manly chest tones and great covered notes. With Philipp Meyerhofer, yes, he can be charming as Papageno, but I felt like his tone was pretty white when he let his voice out. There was a certain whiteness to the voice and a certain colorlessness that I was not too crazy about, but he at least had a steady tone, he had good musicianship, and he was able to make the best out of Papageno, both vocally and theatrically. At least I could tell that he still had fun with this role, and I could definitely tell that he still enjoyed the absolute heck out of Papageno. Agustin Gomez was absolutely lovely as Tamino. It's not a voice that's totally humongous or large or incisive, but it is a well-tuned and lovely light lyric tenor voice that is not only ideal for Tamino, but also the likes of Elvino from La Sonnambula, and even Nemorino from L'Elisir d'Amore, and Ernesto from Don Pasquale, unless they forget about Fenton from Falstaff, and Rinuccio from Gianni Schicchi, and Ruggero Lastuc from La Rondine. Agustin Gomez's voice was a lovely one, well emissioned from top to bottom, and a thoroughly homogeneous light lyric tenor voice that almost reminded me of Luigi Alva and Cesare Valletti. There was no doubt that Agustin Gomez's voice was totally pleasing to the ear, and he does have a lovely timbre to his voice that made him ideal for all of these youthful heroes, and his performance as Tamino was no exception. However, I was still missing a little bit of that extra dimension in his voice that I've always loved in real lyric tenors singing Tamino. Voices such as Helge Rosvenge, although he's more of a high singing and even more of a tenore assoluta, who can be branded as a spinto tenor. Coleman von Pataki, who is almost a similar case to Helge Rosvenge, and even legitimately wonderful full lyric tenors such as Walter Ludwig, Charles Cullman, Brian Sullivan, George Shirley, Stuart Burroughs, Nikolai Gedda, Peter Schreier, and one of my all-time favorite Taminos, Fritz Wunderlich, all had those full-toned and well-coordinated voices, complete with covered notes, as well as that fine sense of virility that made Tamino a wonderfully charismatic nobleman. In terms of Agustin Gomez's performance as Tamino, yes, he did have sufficient charisma. However, he must continue to develop his technique in the best possible way, as in continue to cover his notes, as well as ensure that he continues to sing big and beautifully, because there is an amazing future for Agustin Gomez in roles such as Alfredo Germont from La Traviata, Edgardo Ravenswood from Donizetti's Lucia di Lammermoor, Enrico from Rosmonda d'Inghilterra, Arturo Talbo from Bellini's I Puritani, Corradino from Matilde de Chabran, Ruggero Lestuc from La Rondine, Roberto from Le Villi, Cavalier Belfiore from Il Viaggio a Reims, Peleas from Peleas et Melisande, De Grieux from Manon, and many other wonderful roles for a true lyric or light lyric tenor, so long as he continues to develop his technique as well as strengthen his overall vocal production and vocal qualities, so that his voice can truly ring with additional charisma and loads more dimension. Ivan Turšič continued to steal the show as Monostatos, considering that this was a role that he had been singing for many years, and he continues to find a lot of nuances with this role and took great advantage of his chest tones, covered his notes so beautifully and wonderfully, and managed to use his stage acting and overall musical charisma to make the role of Monostatos come to life, and even did so with amazement and awesome timing and precision. That is just how much Ivan Turšič stole the show as Monostatos, complete with great musicianship and exceptional musical prowess that made his voice radiate beautifully throughout the theater. The Ilfavites continued to do exceedingly well as Zarastro and even the speaker of the temple, but more than anything, his Sarastro continued to be thoroughly resonant, especially in the bottom part of his voice, and I love the fact that he was able to sing a low E to wrap up in diesen heiligen Hallen with resonance and authority. He also continued to exude authority, strength, and virility as Sarastro. However, if there is one Achilles heel about Tilfavite's voice, is that he seems to have developed a wobble, and his vibrato has become a lot looser than when I first heard him in this role. Nevertheless, he still had sufficient charisma and strength, and I do hope that he fixes this problem that he's been having with his wobble so that he can sing a lot healthily and sing with more ease. But even if I take that Achilles heel out of the way, I still enjoyed Tilfavite's in terms of his virility, resonance, and his overall great talents as a basso profondo / basso cantante. So I still have to give him his props for everything that he had accomplished as Zarastro. Jun-O Lee was also sufficiently resonant as the second-armed man, and he had nobility to boot in this small yet rather important part. So overall, the singing was totally well done from everybody, aside from Diana Schnürpel, who stole the show from everybody's feet, especially among the women soloists. I thought that Heidi Elisabeth Meier's performance as Pamina was thoroughly stirring, as well as one that I would have loved to listen to over and over again. She let her voice glow and radiate throughout the theater, all thanks to that silvery edge that made her all the more audible throughout the theater, as well as that femininity that I love about Heidi Elisabeth Meier, both as a singer and as a singing actress. She was in great form tonight, and I would encourage her to keep on developing her chest tones and use chest tones a lot more so that her voice can gain in more dimension and more great sense of chiaroscuro. The rest of the singers were also just as grand. Julia Schaffenhardt was a lovely Papagena. Mirka Wagner, Susan Sarabi, and Ulrike Helzel were equally as gorgeous as the three ladies. The soloists of the Tölzer Knabenchor were lovely as the three boys. Christoph Speth exuded confidence as the first armed man. Philipp Meyerhofer was quite charismatic and charming as Papageno, although he could use a lot more vocal charisma as well as more dimension to make his voice truly ring. Agustin Gomez was lovely and pleasing to the ear as Tamino, and I cannot wait to see how much he will continue to develop his voice in the best possible way. Ivan Turcic was totally amazing as Monostatos. Tilfavovic, despite some of his wobbly moments, was still a resonant and absolutely authoritative Sarastro, and Jun-O Lee's resonance was totally welcome as the second armed man. So everybody did a fine job overall, but I definitely have to give it to Heidi Elisabeth Meier for her stirring and gorgeous performance as Pamina. The conducting done by Karsten Januszka was briskly paced as well as pretty rapid, even though he did have the tendency to overuse the percussion and some of the brass. It could use a lot more nuance in the more solemn moments and in the more pensive moments, because there were occasions where he was inappropriately rapid, when these are occasions that should use a lot more gravitas. And I could never go wrong with conductors such as Otto Klemperer, Herbert von Karajan, and Karl Böhm, who were able to tease out those additional nuances and make the score of the Zauberflöte their own, as well as respect said score. But with Karsten Januszka, he could use a lot more nuance, even though he did lead the orchestra and the chorus of the Komische Oper Berlin well, and the chorus and the orchestra of the Komische Oper Berlin were absolutely brilliant all the way through. So with Heidi Elisabeth Meier stealing the show as a gorgeous Pamina and making a grand impression on me as I heard her live, I would definitely love to hear this lyric coloratura soprano with a full lyric soprano edge a lot more. She had a pleasing tone, and she was able to let her voice radiate throughout the theater with that silvery edge, and she was an absolutely wonderful star tonight, whose musicianship and whose absolutely great elegance could never be questioned, let alone doubted. She was in tip-top form, and I encourage Heidi Elisabeth Meier to continue to take advantage of those chest tones so that her voice can truly ring and radiate with great dimension and equally awesome chiaroscuro. And for those of you who listened and watched Mozart's Die Zauberflöte at the Komische Oper Berlin. What'd you think of it? Did you feel that Heidi Elisabeth Meier was a truly wonderful and charismatic Pamina with a silvery tone and heaps upon heaps of femininity? Was there another singer who stole her thunder, whether it be Diana Schnürpel as the Queen of the Night or Tilfawitz as Sarastro, among many of the singers presented? Was there a singer that you also loved aside from Heidi Elisabeth Meier? Or did you feel like the singing was not really to your liking? Please let me know in the comments below. Well, that's it for my review of Mozart's Die Zauberflöte starring Heidi Elisabeth Meier as Pamina. Tune in tomorrow for my review of Puccini's La Bohème at the Deutsche Oper Berlin starring Aida Pascu as Mimi. So until then, happy holidays everybody!